Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com, and this is Marsh Makes Music, and I'm driving. Today, I wanted to do something that I haven't done on this channel much before, which is kind of a little bit of a vlog-style journaling of my personal music kind of journey, I guess, and where I'm coming from, where I'm going. I've done this a lot on my other channel. I have a channel called Marsh Makes Comics, and I've done hundreds of videos on there, journaling my progress with making comic books and stuff like that. And I really just have an insatiable desire to do that kind of thing, to just do a lot of stuff with music, with YouTube, but also just with making music. So I figured, why not try to do some of what I did on my other channel here? Because it was fun, and I got to know a lot of people, had a lot of community stuff, still do. I'm still putting videos out on that channel and making comics. However, music has always been a big part of my life as well. It's always been music and comic books. Those have been like the two things that I'm super excited about, and like delving into all different variations and shades of both of those things. So anyways, I'm just going to blab a little bit about where I came from and where I'm going to with my channel and with my music. And hopefully you guys will be okay with that. And I think that I would like to make this something I do, maybe a semi-daily journal, maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm actually looking for more YouTubers who do this kind of thing, because I really enjoyed the community where we were doing, a lot of us were doing that with comics, and I'd love to find some community like that in music. So anyways, I'll just briefly go into where I came from music-wise. I'm 46 now, but I've always loved music, and I've always loved comic books and art. Probably art was big for me before music, but it wasn't long before music was a big part of my life, because my mother and my father, while they were divorced, they both loved music. I think my mom played guitar, and she's actually can sing pretty good, but she's never been like known to be like a musician. Whenever she does try to do creative things, she's very creative, but you know, I've never seen her do much, you know, with that kind of thing outside of just normal day-to-day stuff. And my dad, kind of same, he likes to sing at karaoke and stuff like that. And people always say he's like a really good singer. And you know, he's pretty good. Now he does like, sometimes he'll do like goofy videos on TikTok and stuff. So that's kind of funny to see him do that as he's like older and stuff now. But he's always made up like, he's a jokester, and he's always made up like goofy songs and stuff with me anyways, you know. So you know, but because I got a lot of different, a very wide variety of music. He was definitely into rock and roll and stuff, but he also showed me like his jazz records and his like jazz fusion and his funk albums and stuff, and you know, some R&B stuff. He introduced me to the child version of Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson and all that stuff, you know, because he grew up, it's like he grew up his whole life. It's like Michael Jackson was young when he was young, and then like he watched his career and enjoyed his music throughout the years. And then my mom, you know, she was into like Joni Mitchell and just all kinds of different rock and roll and some jazz stuff too, and like all kinds of different things. And so I grew up with a lot of music. And then, you know, I had other like adult influences in my life and stuff who listened to different kind of music as well. A lot of music came from family. I also had a cousin who lived out in LA, and he told me about like the rap that was going on at that time. He told me about Eazy-E and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and I didn't know anything about that, you know. But I knew I liked hip-hop. Before that, I was like, oh, I like Vanilla Ice, I like MC Hammer, and then Vanilla Ice wasn't cool, and MC Hammer wasn't cool, and then I was like, I like Arrested Development, which they're still one of my favorite bands. Love Arrested Development, and like Diggable Planets and things like that. Some of the stuff that was in the pop realm during the time I was growing up. So I was really into hip-hop as well. So it was like all kinds of different influences. And I loved them all, you know. And I used to always, to me, my favorite was always like classic rock and hip-hop. Mostly, but hip-hop was my most favorite, you know, music. And I started to, like, I learned about the West Coast first, which is weird because I live in Connecticut. So I've always lived in the East Coast. But, so I learned about that. But then when I went to high school, I went to a different high school. And I got to know more about the East Coast stuff. KRS-One, Tribe Called Quest. Just, I could sit here and name groups for days, like Smith & Wesson, Wu-Tang Clan, like, I was right in on that stuff, like when it started pretty much. And well, not like, some of that was before my time, like KRS-One's before, you know, he started much before I knew about hip-hop and stuff. But anyways, that's kind of all the influence that started me out, you know. Growing up in high school, you know, the hip-hop scene was big. I lived in the suburbs, and, you know, there was all kinds of people, like, hip-hop was just huge, so I was, like, really into it. So, I became friends with this kid, and we kind of formed our own little rap group. And also at this time, I became a Christian, so that was like another huge thing that happened in my life. And so him and I had this like novel idea to, like, you know, we want to do this hip-hop stuff, but there's nobody out there like talking about God and stuff, so we're going to talk about God. That's going to be like our unique selling proposition. You know, kind of goofy stuff you think of when you're like an adolescent and stuff. Not knowing that there was like a whole genre of Christian rap and stuff like that. Now my friend ended up, you know, going kind of the Rastafarian route, and I stayed Christian. And, you know, we did some music for a while and stuff. However, I also got to know all the other like people who were into making like rap music and stuff in the school, because I found out about this class that I could take as an elective, electronic music class. And so my high school actually had like a really good art department and a really good music department. And they had an electronic music class, and I was taking all the art classes. But I had no music classes because I didn't know how to play an instrument, and I tried to learn how to play trumpet when I was younger, but I always wanted to play piano. I didn't really want to play trumpet, but my mom tried to get me into an instrument, and I was like, I want to play piano. She's like, try trumpet. I'm like, okay, you know. Love my mom, but you know, I think she missed something there, because I have a passion for piano. I still do, even though I still don't know how to play an instrument properly. I like guitar too, but if there's any instrument that I gravitate towards, it's a piano. Now it's modular, you know, Eurorack modular, like synthesis. Anyways, in electronic music, You know, there were drum machines. I remember there was one synthesizer, and I don't know, I came across it actually at Three Wave Music in New Jersey. I'm pretty sure it's the same or a similar synthesizer. It's hard to remember, it was a long time ago, but I saw something there. It's an old synthesizer, and I forget what it was called. It's like not a very popular one, but it was one where there was patch cables and buttons and stuff. So I remember seeing that, and I only saw one person ever using it. It was like this kid, his name was Kenny. He did like punk rock music actually, but he was messing around with the synthesizer in electronic music. And I remember him using it, and I was like, oh man, I like those sounds, I really want to try it. But I was way too fascinated with sampling at that time. I'm like, I want to make hip-hop music. Like, I was learning how to rap and stuff. I was like, I'm making hip-hop music, I'm trying to figure out how to make these beats so we can, become famous rappers, So I was kind of too fascinated with sampling. I'm still fascinated with sampling. And we were recording on 4-track recorders there, and we had like, old, like, I feel like it was Roland or maybe Yamaha, like really cheesy drum machines with cheesy drum machine sounds. I wish they were synthesizer drums, but I think they were, but they were just, they came with stock sounds. I don't think you could like manipulate them, and they had like pads on them. They were small, little black boxes. Nowadays, maybe I'd actually like working on them, but back then I was like, man, it's hard to get a real good hip hop sound out of this. But they didn't have like MPCs in that class, but they had like some keyboards that could sample. And they were decent, but you were kind of relegated to just this like keyboard style sample where every time you hit a note on the keyboard, the pitch went up or down, and also the speed went up or down, and there was no like the time stretch we get now. We didn't have that on those keyboards, at least not that I know of, and they were really hard to like sequence into actual beats and stuff, and it was like it wasn't a straightforward process at all. But I was able to make lots of beats on there, and we recorded something like 4 or 5 songs as like a demo tape. I still have those recordings somewhere. So that's kind of my roots. And then I kind of went off. I actually went to Bible college at one point for a year, and that's when I started delving into like the straight up like Christian hip hop stuff. And then eventually I actually joined the military, and I joined the group Shadow of the Locust, which I'm still technically a part of, but I've been kind of slacking personally. It just hasn't been my focus to do like Christian hip hop music anymore. I've been focused on comics mostly, and then also like just making weird music. And that kind of brings me to now. That's like a really more in depth than I wanted to go, but pretty brief history. And I started off using like iPhone and iPad apps, and Koala's, like, I love Koala's really cool app, and there's so many really cool music apps now. And I still enjoy messing with those, but I also happened to have a little bit of money for once, because I've been, I haven't had a lot of money most of my life, and then I had a little bit of money. So I was like, let me see if I can start this journey of Eurorack, because I had a friend, he goes by Upright. I think his YouTube channel, I'll have to put it in the links below, but I think it's Guitars and Beats. I'm a good friend of mine. We talk all the time. He now plays guitars a lot. He's focused on guitars, but he was into Eurorack, and I was like, I've always been curious about that. Like, I want to use patch cables and all these like you know, buttons and knobs and stuff, like, and I've always been interested in like, even when I made beats as a kid, sometimes, a lot of times they were unrappable, they weren't like not really good to rap on to like make actual lyrics onto, because they were like too fast. I think I was making them at the default tempo and didn't realize I could change the tempo or something. And at one point I finally bought like a keyboard controller, and that was like the first time I had some like hands-on thing, and it was like really cool, but I didn't realize how deep you could go with that. And to me it was like amazing, you know, I could use this and do all the stuff in the program but also have my hands on. And so I made a lot of beats and stuff and music with that, you know. Microphone and that can go a long way, but I never had gear. Like that was like, oh, like maybe once a year I could spend like $50 to $100 on something, maybe. Usually it was actually more like once every 3 or 4 years I would actually, you know, splurge on some kind of gear, because I just didn't have money. Maybe if I got like taxes back I could like splurge, you know. So anyways, and like I had already gotten to a better place. I, you know, had some savings, and I was like, let me see if I can try to cheaply get started, at least in Eurorack. It's gonna take probably about, I think it took about $1,000 to just get started. You know, and my idea was like, okay, I got the Mantis case, and I got 3 Distings, because I'm like, these Distings can do so much. This will give me a lot to play with, you know, and learn synthesis, because I didn't really understand synthesis and all these like modular synth techniques and CV and all that stuff at that point. So it was a huge learning curve. Now I understand so much. I've learned so much in the last 3 to 4 years. And in hindsight, 3 Distings, while it makes sense in your mind, it's like not a great way to do it. Distings are cool, but they when you're trying to learn, it's kind of hard. It's really hard to learn stuff. And you know, one of my things was I always wanted to do weird things with samples. Like I felt like I could take samples to much more interesting levels than just looping a sample or chopping up a sample like we do in hip-hop all the time. While I love doing that, that's super fun still to this day, I want to mangle the crap out of these samples and find new sounds and stuff within samples. And so I was like, that was kind of my main thought when I was getting into Eurorack. I want to do that. I also want to play with regular synthesis too, but you know, that's what I wanted to do. So I quickly started buying another module and another module and another module, but now I love synthesis in general. I have like a bunch of the Buchla modules, the Buchla tip top ones, and the thing is I got into Eurorack, and what I learned from Eurorack was experimentation. It's okay to just get lost in an experimentation. And sound design. It turns out that for me, Eurorack is all about sound design. That's like a big part of it. But I also want to make songs with it, you know, and that's been the part that's been a little bit difficult, yet I almost didn't care, because I was just enjoying getting lost in just sound design. So I would just get lost in these patches, and I had all the Dreadbox chromatic modules and various other modules. A lot of it is, you can see if you look at the very first videos on my channel, that's, you know, during that time. There's a decent handful of videos that I did just with weird patches and stuff. And really, I've used it for that kind of escapism and just almost a therapeutic nature. And Modular has taught me how important experimenting is. And now I think I'm at this place where I've done a lot of experimenting, and I'm ready to get back to trying to make music. However, I don't know, you know, I've made such weird music when I have attempted it with this modular gear. And I've also, along the lines, tried to learn piano, tried to learn guitar. Never got even as far as to be able to play a full song, but I've learned a lot of music theory. I've practiced a lot, but not enough, you know, to be like really good at any instrument. That being said, I know enough to be dangerous, I guess. And I enjoy music theory. I think music theory is great, but I also am happy to play outside of the bounds of music theory. One day I'm going to get into my thoughts on all that. Anyways, so this experimentation really freed me up in a lot of ways. And so now there's been times where I've kind of made different kind of music, and again, I've always wanted to make different music. I've always wanted to make like singer-songwriter type of music. You know, I love people like Ben Folds and Regina Spektor. Like, they're huge influences for me. And again, they're piano people too, generally, and I love how they use the piano in a different kind of punk rock type of way. You know, and there's others too, but those are like two big ones that inspire me. So I've always wanted to also venture into that. Also, like Bjork, Homogenic, that album's huge for me. Portishead, stuff like that. Like, there's been so many things that have made me want to venture outside of just hip-hop. And I'm not really even interested in rapping too much anymore, but, you know, I probably still will, because it's something, that's one skill I have, and something that would be fun to play around with too, now that I'm thinking more on this experimental realm. So anyways, that being said, it's like, now that I've played with this modular stuff and gotten into all these different realms, I have made music that I'm like, I don't know what, this is not hip-hop, this is like a dance track, or this is like, you know, some techno, or this is like some weird, I don't even know what this is, or this is kind of almost like heavy metal. And like, all these little patches I come up with, I'm finding these different realms. So I don't even know what kind of music I want to make exactly. And this is part of the journey I'm going on. Okay, so what does that mean for the future of, you know, or should I say future or the present? You know, what am I going to do now? What am I going to make now? What's the channel going to be now? Now, I don't think I have like many or any quote-unquote followers on this channel yet. I'm just building it up. But if you have been following along at all, you'll notice that I changed my channel name from Planet Plex to Marsh Makes Music. There's a few different reasons. Planet Plex, I went as in my music, my hip-hop stuff, I went by Complex, spelled with like C-A-L-M, Complex. So I went by that, and then I kind of started going just by Plex. I mean, I had a million different names at one point, but that was like the longest standing one. And then when I tried to do like DistroKid and stuff, there was already Plex, people named Plex, so I tried to do something unique, so I made it into Planet Plex. You know, but now it's like, thinking about my YouTube channel, what do I want it to really be? And I want it to be these, you know, journeys into modular and, you know, getting into some gear and stuff. I do like doing those videos as well. But, however, I want to be focused on making music. Like, what's the point of doing all this if I'm not, like, trying to make some music? And I really enjoy making albums. And, I mean, I have albums and stuff out with the hip-hop stuff. And, you know, yeah, it's mostly with the hip-hop stuff. I did one experimental album under the name Planet Plex called It's Everything. If you look it up on, you know, Spotify or Bandcamp or whatever, you can find it. So that was the only thing I ever did that was like not technically hip-hop as far as like finished album stuff and recordings. But probably from here on out, my music's going to take a different shape. I don't think I'm going to be... I think I'm going to be delving into some of these singer-songwriter things, and also just weird modular, you know, like noise albums and like whatever. Like there will be hip-hop as well, for sure. Like I still love making beats. One of my favorite artists these days is Eamon Tobin, and he's got his Two Fingers thing, and that's where I first found out about his music. And then I found out the well goes way deeper, and I found out about ISAM, and to me, ISAM blew me away. And I've loved all his music ever since. And but I still love Two Fingers. For Eamon Tobin, he's even spoke about this, like that's like the fun stuff. Like I think he has fun with the other stuff, but the other stuff is like more concept driven, whereas Two Fingers is just like when he wants to do his DJ thing and make fun music, you know, like it's an exercise of just pure enjoyment. So I feel like when I make beats and stuff, I'm gonna still make that kind of stuff because I still love it, but it's more along that lines. And then my other music is gonna be fun too, but it's gonna be just me experimenting more. And I think he's even said like his other albums are more about experiment. It's like it's just really each album and each song is just what he's currently experimenting with. And that's pretty much going to be my thing too. Except I don't plan on keeping it as much in the electronic music realm. I want to explore some other things. But I want to keep the electronic music. Like it's going to be very much based in the modular realm because I'm just so insanely fascinated by that. Like I can't get enough of modular stuff. Like I want every module, like, and I want to try them all. Like and I love synthesis. I love the idea of patch programming, and I fell in love with modular head over heels, you know. So there's going to be a lot of that, and I want to find ways to make music with it, because like, you know, and I think I'm going to do a separate video on this, but there's kind of the criticism out there that modular, like Eurorack modular or whatever, it's not musical. A lot of the stuff is unusable and noisy and bleep bloopy and all these kind of different criticisms, whereas anybody who does modular knows that you can really go anywhere with it. You know, it's not only that, although that is, you know, something it excels at for sure. You know, drones and ambient and all this kind of stuff, but it's really super versatile. You can do what you can do with Eurorack. You could do anything with Eurorack, really. And there's no reason why you can't make songs. So that's kind of where I'm going, I guess. You know, I really just want to make music. I want to do the gear videos, but I also want to be focused on making music every day, you know, for the most part. And so that's where I'm going, and I'm going to make more focus videos. I know this was a long one. I'm going to try to edit it nicely and stuff. But I'm going to make some more focused videos on specific topics where I'm kind of journaling my days and journaling my progress with making this music. And I hope you guys will be into that. In a lot of ways, I'm making it for me, though, you know, but I also would love to get to know people. And if you want to do like a kind of daily thing too, like I'd love to see videos of anyone else doing this kind of thing. But I think I'm going to do a daily or semi-daily journal here, and I'd love to see other people do that. I think probably I wouldn't be surprised if there are music making communities, if you know of any, like people who are doing like videos like this. Please let me know, because I would love to get connected with more music makers of all different, using all kinds of different instruments and doing all kinds of different genres, it doesn't really matter to me. It's just I really enjoyed that kind of back and forth. So anyways, I'm gonna get to work soon. And hopefully, again, you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching if you have, and we'll talk to you on the next episode. All right, later.